I'm his bride. He wasn't supposed to walk in on us. But now he seriously dumps me? No, I won't let him.
Stay till the end and find out why. This episode is emotionally disturbing to cheaters.
This happened to me some years ago, but I think it's worth sharing. Hopefully it can help someone out there, and if not, I bet you'll at least find it interesting. It was the fall of 2019, a week after the Thanksgiving holiday. At the time, I had been with my then fiancée for just over 3 years. For this post, I will call her Luna. Several months prior, while on vacation in Cabo, I asked her to marry me. She accepted and I felt our lives were falling into place. We hadn't yet set a date, but were targeting something for the summer of 2020. I was 26 and she was 25, and we were both doing well in our jobs and making decent money. Back then I was an assistant engineer, and she was working in a corporate position and had just been promoted. She was feeling a bit overwhelmed and stressed out by all the added responsibility. Her boss, a hardened woman, had very high standards, and put a lot of pressure on her to deliver. This is noteworthy and would end up being a factor in our breakup. During the week of Thanksgiving, I attended an event with her that she was in charge of. It was a big deal for her company, and all the pressure was on her to pull it off. During the weeks prior, I was helping her in the evenings, and did what I could to keep her calm and focused so she could do her best. The event was a success, and she received positive recognition from her boss and others at her company. I was very proud of her, and this success gave her a boost in confidence and helped calm her nerves. After the event, she thanked me for supporting her multiple times, including in front of both of our families on Thanksgiving. The bond between us seemed stronger than ever, and we continued doing basic planning for our wedding as the Christmas holiday approached. On the Thursday before Christmas, a few college friends of mine were in town to spend the holiday with their families. We hadn't seen each other for a few years, so we decided to meet up for drinks and dinner. I told Luna about this well in advance, so she knew she would have that night to herself. She told me she was just going to do some things around her apartment, and reminded me to be sure to text her updates and call her when I got home. To which I told her might not be until after 11. As things would have it, instead of meeting up near my place, the guys wanted to meet at a new establishment, which was just a few minutes from Luna's apartment. With this in mind, I decided to pack a bag and plan to surprise Luna by crashing at her place that night. My friends and I had a great evening, talking and reliving the many good times we shared over the years. We met up around 5:30 and ended up calling it a night around 9. I left straight from there and headed over to Luna's apartment. When I got there, I parked in the visitor parking directly across from her place, and walked over to her apartment. I slowly opened the door with my key, and went in. Once inside, the living room and kitchen area were dark, partially illuminated with the glow from the bathroom light down the hall. The bathroom exhaust fan was also running, and covered any noise I was making. As I crept in further, I could see a dim light coming from Luna's bedroom. I thought she may have just taken a shower, and was in her room getting a robe on, or getting ready for bed. I didn't want to scare her and was about to call out to her, when I heard her laughing, along with a male voice that sounded somewhat familiar. At first, I thought she might be on the phone, so I crept across the carpet, moving closer to her bedroom door, to better hear what she was saying. As I did, I heard the unmistakable sounds of two people being intimate. All the way, I heard it was the exact sound her bed made when we did. Once I realized what was going on, I got a pit in my stomach, and my heart started beating 500 miles per hour. In that moment, I froze for a good 30 seconds, until I heard them starting up again. They were doing the thrust and rest method, which is something we did when she wanted things to last longer. When they were in the throes of one of their thrust sessions, I crouched down on my knees and peeked around the corner to get a look. There I saw them, both their bodies without clothes. Luna and some guy, just going at it. The sight of it shocked me, imprinted in my thoughts forever. It really was devastating. This guy was someone I recognized. Let's call him Tyler. Tyler worked for a company that partnered with Luna's company on the Thanksgiving fundraiser she was in charge of. She introduced me to him when I attended the event, and told me the guy was nice. but dumb as a box of rocks. He's a former college and semi-pro athlete, who was now working in PR, in a similar capacity to Luna. She told me he had no practical skills in the field, and the only reason he had been hired was because of his notoriety, from his days of being an athlete. Looking back now, I can see she said all that, so I wouldn't suspect anything. As I laid there paralyzed on the floor, watching him grind away on her, my first thought was to charge in and dive on his back and start swinging. Instead, in a second of doubt I stopped myself, then decided to pull out my phone and start recording. After that I snapped a few pictures, then started creeping my way back to the front door. The videos and pictures were taken low and from the side, but it was unmistakable who they were, and what they were doing. As I think back now, I can't believe I was able to remain so calm. But the shock of everything changes you when you're in the moment. From what I've read, when faced with this, some guys lose it and get violent, and others get a sense of calm. I was definitely the latter, at least I was, until I got to the front door. When I reached the door and slowly opened it, I heard her making sounds, like she was reaching her pinnacle, and I lost it. When I walked out, something came over me, and in that split second, I decided to slam the door, as hard as I could. It was one of those heavy metal entrance doors, so when I slammed it, it rattled the inside of her whole apartment and made a huge sound. I then walked slowly and calmly down the steps and across the lot, over to my car. When I got there, I turned to see someone peeking out of the blinds. I don't know for sure if it was him or her, but I'm pretty sure it was her, based on the movements. I was clearly visible, and expected her to open the door and call out to me, but she didn't. I then got into my car and sat there for a good 10 minutes, giving her plenty of time to come out and face me, but never did, so I eventually drove away. As I look back and tell this story now with confidence and hubris, I by no means was at that moment. I was emotionally broken and all over the place, and almost rear-ended a truck on my way back home. I probably should have called someone that night for support, but I didn't, and spent the rest of the night in a really bad place. She never called or texted me, and I didn't contact her. That was the worst night of my life. Yet by dawn, I was a totally different person. Even though it was bad, thanks to that loneliness I had gotten all the emotion out of me. Now I just wanted one thing. This woman. Completely out of my life. As I was taking a shower and preparing for work, I thought about how I was going to break up with her. I didn't want some dramatic effects or surprises. Just what's best for me. Which is easy and swiftly. I decided that I'd call her on my way to work to do it. This is when things took a weird turn. While in the shower, I heard my phone ping with a message. When I got out and checked it, there was a message from Luna wishing me a good morning, and asking why I didn't call her last night. Really? What the actual F? I know she saw me. So I think she was just hoping I would wimp out and never even mention what I saw. To keep living in a fairy tale? To keep the peace? Nope. There was no way I'd ever do that. This showed me, no. This proved to me, just how low she thought of me. Which really pissed me off. I thought about how to best respond to this ridiculous text, and decided to send her a simple text back, telling her we were done. I also attached 2 photos of her and Tyler, so she couldn't keep baiting me with this nonsense, and she knew the reason why. Then blocked her, everywhere. On my drive into the office, I called my parents to tell them before they left for work. The first thing my dad said was,
"Oh, I warned you about her."
To his credit, he indeed did. While he was always friendly and nice to Luna, he told me after I introduced them, there was just something about her he didn't like. He said while he thought she was very pretty, to him she had crazy eyes and the mannerisms of a cat. He told me the old saying,
Well, unlike a dog, you can never completely trust a cat.
Unfortunately, he was right about that. But he didn't rub it in. My mother was very concerned for my well-being, and very disappointed with Luna. Unlike my father, Mom thought Luna was a great girl, a precious new daughter, and was looking forward to her little boy settling down and getting married. They both insisted I come to stay with them through Christmas, which I ended up doing. They live 8 hours away and I normally fly when I go home, but I decided to drive up to their place after wrapping things up early at work. I spent the next week with them, and it was the best thing I could have done at the time. On the drive to my parents, I called the maintenance manager of my apartment, and had him change the locks. It cost me $300 to do it, but it had to be done as Luna had a key, and I didn't want her in there. In the days that followed, I must have received over 100 missed calls from private numbers and from several of her friends' phones, but no messages were left. She also didn't text me during this time. 0 times. Then late afternoon on Christmas Eve, I received a crazy rambling voice message from her that she left from a private number. It was clear she had been drinking, as she was slurring every other word and was all over the place with what she was saying. In her first message, she asked if I was mad at her, and said she could explain everything if I'd just let her, saying that it's the real issue, that I won't let her explain it. In one of her next messages, her tone of voice was completely different, and she asked if we were still getting married. She then proceeded to say she made up her mind and wants to go to Italy for our honeymoon, that she's checking certain places there and needs to know what I think. A few rambling messages after that. She then resorted to calling me shallow and controlling, being weak, pathetic and afraid to face her, like a real man would. She repeated that a lot, saying I was a weak man, and that's why she did what she did with Tyler. Over the next 3 to 4 hours, she invested her whole night into leaving me over a dozen more messages like that. All of them with her slurring and rambling for 2 minutes, until the voicemail cut her off. At around 8 that night, I received a call from her father. I always had a great relationship with him, so I answered. He asked me what was going on between Luna and I, saying he just got off the phone with her and she told him we weren't coming to their house tonight for Christmas. I asked if she told him the reason why. He said no, all she said was we had an argument, and I wasn't coming with her. I wasn't playing her games, so I proceeded to tell him what happened. The truth. I simply told him I walked in on her having sex with another guy. He asked me to repeat myself and I did. I repeated myself clearly. He then asked if I was being serious, and I told him I was. I could hear his breathing change, while he was trying to think what he would say to me. It hurt me to hear him being this stressed, but he needed to hear it. Then I told him, I have pictures to prove it. He told me he was really sorry, and explained she hadn't told him or her mother about this. I then told him that she had been calling me all night and leaving crazy messages, and it's clear she has been drinking. He thanked me, and said that he and her mother would go over there, to make sure she didn't drive anywhere. After that, I didn't get any more messages from her that evening. Then around 5 a.m. on Christmas morning, I got a call from Luna's mother's phone. I answered thinking it was Luna's mother, but it was actually Luna. She started screaming at me, calling me a mother effer, and an idiot for telling her parents. She also said that after I walked in on her and Tyler, she went on to do it with him 3 more times. And it was the best night they had together. I didn't react, just listened to her for about a minute, then hung up. She kept calling back until around 6:30 a.m. when I got a text from her mother, apologizing for what Luna did. In the text, her mother said Luna took her phone while she was sleeping, and she caught her leaving me a voice message. She apologized for Luna's aggression and made her erase the messages, after demanding her phone back. She said they're gonna make sure she doesn't bother me again, then wished me a Merry Christmas. Her mom and dad were really nice, and I regretted that I'd likely never see or speak to them again, which I haven't since then. After that, I had no contact with Luna, or anyone associated with her. Until a month later.
Royal A.I.
It was a Friday evening, and I was out with a group from my office doing some team building. We were just having a few at a local bar, in between games of candlestick bowling and darts. I was leaning against the bar, talking with a couple of my coworkers, having a good time, when out of nowhere, Luna appeared, in my face. I was stunned, and to not cause a scene I excused myself from the group, and stepped away to talk to her. It was obvious right away, she was again drunk as a skunk. She began telling me how sorry she was and how much she missed me. She said her life was miserable now, and that she'd do anything to get me back. Kept saying the word, everything, in different pitches. I told her that wasn't going to happen, and I wasn't interested in what she had to say. After that, she started screaming, calling me a weak little bitch with a small PP. I could feel everyone in there, staring at us. The next thing I felt was liquid hitting my face and eyes, with a sting, followed by the sound of glass breaking on the concrete floor below me. She had thrown the apple martini she was drinking in my face. Within a split second of this happening, the bartender, who had been serving my group, came out from behind the bar with one of the managers. He told the manager that Luna had come over and started yelling at me, and then threw her drink on me. The whole time she just stood there crying, not saying a word. The manager asked if she was there with anyone, and she pointed to a group of women standing around drinking on the enclosed patio. The manager asked if she was driving and she told him no. She had a ride home. After that, he walked her out to the patio, where I saw him talking to Luna and the other women out there, which lasted for a few minutes. When he came back in, he apologized to me, and said he wanted to make sure I was alright. I told him I was, just a little embarrassed. A few minutes after that, I saw Luna leaving with the other women. That was the last time I saw her. That was over 4 years ago, and I had completely put any thought of her out of my mind. Since our breakup, I have spent most of my time focusing on my career. I'm now an engineer working for the same company. I love my job and the pay is great. My future is bright if I stay the course. As for women, I still date every once in a while, but for the most part I'm just on my own. After the bad experience with Luna, I look at women differently now, and as such, none of the dates I've had since have turned into anything significant. I still plan to get married one day and have a family, but for now, I have no urgent plans to do it. What moved me to write this? Well, last week I ran into a guy who dated one of Luna's friends. He and I got acquainted through them, and got to know each other pretty well back then. He's now married to Luna's friend, and without asking, he proceeded to tell all about what's been going on in her life since we broke up. He told me that his wife and Luna are no longer close friends, but they still talk once or twice a year and they're still connected on Facebook. According to him, Luna has had at least a dozen different dudes since we broke up, that he knows of. He said she was actually engaged to a guy last year, but that relationship mysteriously ended, which I found interesting. Hopefully he didn't go through what I did with her. I asked him whatever happened between Luna and Tyler. He told me they dated a while after we broke up, but it only lasted a few months and it was fueled with negativity and drama. It ended when she moved on to someone new. I saw his face expressions change and he started looking worried. He then said he wanted to warn me about something. He said that during recent talks Luna had with his wife, Luna told her that losing me was the worst mistake of her life, and she hasn't been able to find anyone else who's measured up. He pointed out that I should seriously watch my back, because according to his wife, Luna is no longer the emotional Luna. Luna became more bitter, manipulative, negative and seemingly obsessive about her history with me. His wife told him that Luna rather wants to be a single mother, pregnant with my baby, than finding another man to marry. Also, Luna still talks about ways she wants to reconnect with me. Last couple of months made her committed to the meaning of zodiac signs, their compatibility with love, because it proves that she and I are meant to be. I awkwardly smiled, but he didn't. He said that if I randomly meet her again, it's not random. He said that whenever his wife talks openly to him about Luna, it's not a joking matter, because his wife is worried. His wife would say that an emotional Luna isn't calculated, but Luna is really different now. She has the mental fortitude to inject herself back in my life, just to become pregnant. I thanked him for giving me the heads up and told him not to worry. There's absolutely no chance I'd ever have anything to do with her. I guess she's gone through her hoe phase? And now wants to settle down with a decent guy. Well, guess what? This decent guy is looking for a woman that's never had and doesn't need a whore phase. One day I hope to find her. Thank you for reading my story. I hope it helps others, any way it can.
Sorry for you, OP. Reading your story hit me close to the chest. It's devastating how someone you trust as a lover and best friend could betray you like this. Some women will risk everything to be with a man they desire, but remember, when they see you as a pushover, they'll never respect you. Well, it's clear she underestimated you and your ability to walk away with your dignity intact. Proud of you for staying strong. This all proves that trust and respect are non-negotiable in any relationship. Anyone who had been stuck in a phase of walking the streets, for lack of better terms, shouldn't be considered for building a serious relationship. Red flag loud and clear. Stay away from it. You got lucky you recorded it and got evidence because you were close to messing everything up. Don't mean that in a bad way. We would have understood if you bashed in there and went full-on berserk. But that split decision made all the difference in the end. Thanks to that proof, she can't lie and hide. So it's only logical for her to run away from the truth and try to find answers in zodiac signs. Nice touch to try and justify her actions so she can still look at herself in the mirror. It's poetic justice.
Hope you and Luna both will meet, and hopefully bury this once and for all. Not saying you should be back together, of course. Just want her to be able to leave this all behind her, too. She's the bad girl. She cheated. I get that. She's someone's daughter, though. She should get help from someone to get over this. Whatever she's doing, it's not working. Not saying you should be responsible for that OP. It's not your job to save her or be her emotional crutch. I just imagine her friend could help her if they see her in this state instead of gossiping with her man. I hate cheaters, but I do feel a bit sad for her. Oh, I'm an empath. That's just me. Sometimes people crash their lives to wake up. Let her do that on her own, though. Far away from you. So, I'll pray for both of you.
You should drop the sympathy you feel for Luna. She knew what she was doing. Don't feel sorry for her. She nuked her own relationship. Nobody pushed her to do anything. She proved it by all her actions after being caught. Luna didn't trip and accidentally cheat. She Olympic sprinted into her favourite thrusting position. Empath or not, you can clearly see she didn't learn her lesson and neglected the chance to become better. She became worse, and then tried to gaslight her way back into OP's life. She's at the stage of manipulating others, also herself, by using zodiac signs to slip her way back into relevance and good faith. That's insane. OP needs a restraining order from the first time she's back in his life.
Listen, I'm just saying that Luna clearly has issues and she could use help. There's no need for her to get worse. Maybe she acted out because she was dealing with things she couldn't handle emotionally. It doesn't excuse what she did, but understanding her motives helps her. But OP too. Not everything is black and white, you know?
Oh no, wrong. She made a calculated decision and it should get worse for her. It's the balance of the universe. She likes zodiac signs when it benefits her, right? Yeah, right. Her selfishness is off the charts. How can you defend her with the emotional excuse? Not trying to be mean here, but you seem to be stuck in excusing her, and I can't wrap my head around it. Frankly, it's insulting to OP to sugarcoat it like she's some tortured soul. Think about this. She got reality checked, but still chooses to double down. You know she would baby trap OP if she even whiffed a chance in the air. Take that in for a moment.
Well, I get what you're trying to say. It's oversimplified in my eyes. People aren't perfect, and everyone makes mistakes. Sure, she's screwed up, but your complete lack of compassion is concerning. Well, that's the internet for you, OP. Real life isn't like that. I'm more into that. Not sugarcoating anything, you know.
Compassion for someone who cheats, lies, and then weaponizes astrology to justify stalking or baby trapping. Get real. The only thing Luna deserves is a restraining order and a lifetime ban from society. Let's not deflect here. Your moral superiority stance would be more convincing if it wasn't coming from someone who's clearly projecting their own unresolved baggage.
Oh, so now you're an expert on me. Sure, people like you love to act holier than thou, but all you're doing is spitting venom because you can't handle a little nuance. You don't know Luna or her struggles, so stop pretending you do. It's pathetic.
Nuance. Huh? The only nuance here is how you're bending over backwards to excuse textbook toxic behavior. Face it, Luna didn't struggle. She plotted and even physically attacked OP, with glass in his face, with alcohol to his actual eyes. Honestly, your defense of her says way more about you than it does about her. Maybe you're right. I don't know Luna. But after reading your comments, I do know this. Anyone who empathizes with cheaters this hard has probably been one themselves. So, who's the real pathetic one here?
What would you advise OP? Let us know in the comments. You like the way these stories are brought to you? If so, I got you covered. More like this on my channel. Thank you for staying till the end. Let me know if you enjoyed this episode. See you in the next one.